They told my brother to leave his wife. Not because she had hurt him, not because there was betrayal, but because she refused to give them what they demanded: a biological son to carry the family name. That was the moment I realized something in our family was broken. Not cracked, not strained, broken. My brother and his wife have been married for 6 years. I've loved them both from the start. They're kind, they're steady, and about a year ago, they did something I admired deeply. They adopted a little girl. She was only 2 when she came into their lives, and I remember the way my brother's voice changed when he talked about her. There was this quiet pride, this almost protective tremor. My parents seemed happy too. They called her every day, asked for pictures, even sent her little gifts. For a while, it felt like we were all on the same page. Family, no matter what. And then, one conversation changed everything. A few weeks ago, my brother and sister-in-law shared a decision that, to them, wasn't up for debate. Their daughter would be their only child. They had no plans to try for biological children. I didn't think twice. Why should I? Their family is complete. But for my parents, it was as if they'd been handed a personal insult. The reaction was swift, sharp, and ugly. They told my brother that, as the male heir of the family, he had a duty, not just to have a child, but to have a biological son, to carry forward the family name. I almost laughed when I heard it. We're not royalty. We're not guarding some ancient bloodline. But to my parents, it was non-negotiable. What began as pressure quickly turned into relentless attacks. They told my sister-in-law she was robbing the family of something essential. They made her feel like she was stealing a legacy. And then came the words that turned my stomach. If she wouldn't give them a biological son, my brother should leave her, find another woman, make it happen. I wish I could say that was the worst of it. It wasn't. From that moment on, they began pulling away from my niece, their granddaughter in every way except blood, as they now like to point out. The daily calls stopped. The sweet video chats ended. When my brother tried to hand the phone to his daughter so she could talk to them, they refused. They told him they'd talk to their real grandchild when he came to his senses. She's 3 years old. 3. I could see what it was doing to my brother. I could hear the weight in his voice every time we spoke. And I could imagine what it was doing to my sister-in-law, watching people who once doted on her daughter now treat her like she didn't count. Yesterday, I called my brother. He told me about another conversation with our parents. They'd rung him up to talk about something unrelated. He'd asked if they wanted to speak to their granddaughter. Their answer was cold, casual, and devastating. Not until she's real. That was it for me. I called them immediately, and I didn't hold back. I told them exactly what I thought of their so-called family values. I told them how selfish they were being, how cruel it was to take their anger out on a child. I asked them what kind of people punish a toddler for decisions made by adults. I said more than I can remember now. My voice was shaking, my chest tight. But I remember the silence on the other end before my mother began to cry. She's not used to being yelled at, she said, and maybe that's the problem. I know raising my voice isn't the most diplomatic choice, but nothing about their behavior has been civil. They're wounding a child for the sake of some outdated idea about bloodlines. They're hurting my brother, undermining his marriage, and making my sister-in-law feel like an outsider in her own family. What makes it worse is that this isn't the first time they've done something like this. Years ago, I told them I wouldn't be having children. They threw a fit then too. I guess the difference is, with me, it was only words. With my brother, it's actions. It's cutting a little girl out of their lives like she's disposable. And that's the part I can't forgive. They could have been her safe place. They could have been the grandparents she ran to with her little stories and drawings, the people who spoiled her at birthdays and whispered secrets in the kitchen while cookies baked in the oven. Instead, they're teaching her, whether she understands it now or not, that love has conditions, that you have to meet some invisible standard to deserve it. I don't know if they'll change. I don't know if they even see what they're doing. I just know that when I hung up, my hands were trembling. So, am I the asshole for standing up to them? Or am I just the only one willing to say out loud what everyone else is thinking? Here's what I think, as the voice telling you this story. Sometimes, families have a way of dressing cruelty in tradition. They'll tell you it's about heritage, or honor, or some unspoken duty. But what it's really about is control, deciding whose life matters and whose doesn't. In this story, a little girl is caught in the crossfire of an argument she didn't start and can't possibly understand. That's the part that should stop us cold. Because children remember. Even if the details fade, they remember who made them feel wanted and who made them feel small. Standing up to family can feel like breaking some sacred rule. But love isn't real if it disappears the moment expectations aren't met. And loyalty doesn't mean silence when someone you love is being hurt. So I'll leave you with this. If you were in this position, would you have stayed quiet to keep the peace? Or would you have said exactly what needed to be said, no matter the cost?